think it's good. Maybe. I don't know. Let me. Okay. Do that so I can see chat on the TV. Okay. So now let me run through all the scenes real quick. So scene 2, and then scene 2 with camera. Cool. Oh yeah. Very nice. Okay. I guess let's get started. So, let me preface. Here's a... Let me preface this. Oh wait, there's so many wires. Oh. Hopefully you guys can hear me, by the way. Or hear me well. I should have done another audio test after changing everything. So, as a preface, I'm going to be reflow soldering this guy right here. This GPU is quite old, and it's not in a working condition. My bad. Sorry about that. It's not in a working condition, so we are going to be taking off these VRAM chips and just learning how to take it out, put it back in. Take it out, put it back in. Because it is in no condition to work. So I do have another one of the same exact make, model, probably year. Because it's... Ooh. Almost dropped it. It's covered by like chemical. So yeah. But as you can see, it is in no way repairable. So that's what's gonna happen. We're just gonna, you know, fix it. Or fix something else, I guess. So, onto the soldering station, which I haven't exactly fully set up yet, but we'll get to that. So, here we are. Here's our place where we're going to be working. There's no lights, so I'm just going to be chair or no chair. Is there a place to sit? Box. Sitting on a box. Oh wait, before I do that, and now turn on the reflow. Oh wait, yeah, the reflow soldering station. Okay. Now that the reflow soldering is on, I can show you guys what the damage is. Because I have another camera, boom, that shows everything. Okay, I should really invest in a chair or something, or another chair. So here we have the issue. This guy right here is not very alive. As you can probably tell by the front I/O, it's fully rusted. It's been in places, probably like a garage or something. But look, the components are still pretty good. So we can learn to reflow solder. That's the entire point of this exercise, I guess. Should have probably brought some solder with me because that's half of what we're doing. So let me put this down. And I'm not gonna bring solder just yet, but what I will do, rotate the microphone, move the microphone too, and put the microphone right next to me. Okay, there we go. So now we have this reflow. Oh wait, I need this too. So what this is the other camera on? Okay. So what this is just a thermocouple that measures up to 1300 Celsius. We're not going to obviously go that high, but as an example, in my room, 20, oh, you know what, that's actually near the carpet. It's a little hotter, but whatever. So, can you see that? Not a very convenient spot to put the thermocouple. Hopefully you guys can see that. Yeah, good enough. Okay. So now if I touch this with my hands, it's going to spike up to a regular temperature. I will also tell you guys what the temperature is. So yeah, 35 C. So now we have to unscrew the back because it's plastic. So where's my screwdriver? I didn't really think a lot of this through. I just thought I was gonna start resoldering or reflow soldering. Okay, 30 degrees. Huh. Okay, we might need to use some pliers for this. So now that we have oh wait, what? Wait, hold on. Oh no. Oh no. I like drop kicked the microphone. Sorry about that. Why isn't this camera working? Hold on. Why isn't this camera working? Oh. It just okay, let me go back to here. So now is it off? No. Can it not handle the... Okay. I guess I'll have to do a quick operation with a different camera. Let me set that up as quick as I can. Okay. Now, there. Cool. Just so you guys can see something. Wait a minute. I'm gonna need to configure it anyway. Okay. And now, camera should be on. Let's go back to this camera and this guy. Wait a minute. Does not like 1080p. So here's what we're gonna do. $720. Hold on. Wow, this camera is actually very hot. Okay. Why? I don't know why it did that. I didn't really expect really issues with my bad. I'm trying to fix this, but it doesn't seem like it wants to. Yeah, like it's not. It's what? Okay, hold on a minute. One moment. Why? Let me see something first. Because I don't know if it's, or I guess I don't know what it is entirely. It could be the USB port. It could be anything. It could really be anything. Didn't really expect to have these troubles. Okay. Sure. Well, at least this one works. Okay. This one still doesn't. Why? What? Okay, does the other one work? Yeah, the other one still works. The other one works fine. Okay, so what's the deal? You know what I'm gonna do? Here's what I'm gonna do. Well, I'm not gonna tell you guys what I'm gonna do, but I have an idea. I think the camera just died. Like, I think it's gone. I don't think this camera gets recognized anymore. That's unfortunate. Okay. That is quite unfortunate. Let's see this one. Okay, how about this one? Because I don't really know what to do else, because I only have 4 cameras. 4 webcams, and one of them is just for reserve, because I needed to, you know. Okay. Really? You're not gonna show me the video? Okay. Fine, I guess. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna do that. Expand that out. I'm gonna take this camera down and then very haphazardly set up the other camera, or the camera that's currently recording the ground, here. Is that? No, not even close. Okay, that's good enough. Alright, cool. Somewhat. But yeah, at least you guys now can see the progress, because I didn't realize the camera was fully dying, or in this case is dead. Okay. Oh. Oh. That was the actual camera. My bad for the motion. Wait, why did it fall then? Okay. So many unforeseen problems. Unexpected. Okay, that's good. That is, yeah, looks good to me. All right, cool. Back to business. Nothing to be worried about here. Okay, cool. So now, okay, these are stuck on, so we're gonna pry these out. Yeah, these are actually, oh, I just snapped the bolt. Hopefully it didn't like fully snap in the circuit board, so I can still take it out and not. Oh no, did I snap another? I did. Okay, whatever, it's alright. So now we have, oh, I only partially snapped it. So now we have the circuit board. We don't really need the cooler. It's just cool to have. Get it? Pun intended. Okay, never mind. So yeah, we just have this cooler, aluminum with a shroud on it. We can just put that there. Okay, what can you guys see? Let's put that there. Yeah. All right. So now, man, lights would be pretty cool. Let's see if this works. Can I set up this light like this? No. Will it? Does that look better? No, not even. Okay. Not even a little. Okay. Sure. We're just gonna do with no light. So yeah, now we have a very rusted piece of metal that has no use except for practice. So here's what we can do. Here's what we can desolder. Let me move these out of the way and let me get some more leg room. Because oh, the tape is underneath of the microphone. Because I was gonna get some Kapton tape and tape it like around here. But we technically don't need that. Actually, before we do anything, I'm gonna set the temperature of this to around 200. This is 200 Celsius. Now, to be fair, 200 Celsius is a little bit low, but it's okay for this purpose. Because we're just removing the VRAM chips. Oh, and actually I need some tweezers, so I'll be right back and get those. Cool. Now that we have tweezers, flux would be preferable, but the flux that I have is in the garage. So we're just gonna pretend I don't have flux. Now to this GPU, I don't know if, no, you can't see that. I'm gonna need like, see, this is why I needed 2 cameras for this setup, because I wanted you guys to see very up close and far. But no, we only have one camera, so I'm just gonna have to make do with what I have. Alright, so here's what we're gonna start with. We're gonna preheat, and I set the fan speed, actually I'll set it very low, because it should be just preheating and not like fully baking it. Now this is a 1 gigabyte card, so all of these are 126 megabytes. No, 123. No, 128. There we go. Yeah, it's 128. So if you can see, I'm just like going around the card or around the chip because I don't have a preheater. And this guy, I don't know if you guys can see this guy. Oh, this guy right here is way too big, and it takes 12 volts that I haven't set up yet. So we're just gonna pretend I don't have a preheater too. So now we're gonna increase the speed, increase the temperature to around 280, and then, okay, there we go. Now it's going to get even hotter. Now using the tweezers, which actually the tweezers are getting hot too. I'm going to go around the perimeter of the chip. And I cannot go above like 350 because the actual card that I want to work on this with is very specific about its heats. And it's also much newer, not a 10-plus-year-old card. I should have definitely got some flux. This is not exactly the right procedure for this. Or at least some solder. Okay. Fan speed all the way up. Well, not all the way, but as far as... Okay. And now 350. And now I'm gonna back the soldering, the rework solder up. Lower the fan speed. Now I did this before, not with a GPU, but like with like on components. I don't know what, I forgot what they're called. Not SMD, the other one. Okay. Where is the temperature probe? What is the heat? Okay, so the heat of the chip isn't getting to 250 Celsius, which is good. So we're gonna continue with the way we were. I should have definitely got some solder. Alright, let me go with the setting I went with before, 390. So now it's going to be very hot, but it should desolder it. Not even a little. Alright, hold on. Okay. Let's check this out. How hot is the board on the other side? Okay, so pretty hot. 100... about 110 Celsius. Okay. So that tells me quite a lot. That tells me that we do need flux because the board is actually getting hot, which is not good when we're trying to do precision reflow soldering. So we're gonna... Do I have isopropyl alcohol? I mean, I have the cleaning toothbrush that I can do that, but that's only for like particulates, that's not for chemical. Yeah, it did almost nothing. Okay. So we can... What can we do? Actually, not much without a soldering... Without solder. So, I don't know... I don't remember, because I do have solder. But I do not remember if this is solder. Okay. So we're gonna do round 2. And by round 2, I mean I'm either gonna find solder or I'm just gonna try to use this piece of whatever this is. I think that is a dumb idea. So here's what I'll do. I'll wait until the chip cools down. Oh, it just fell. Okay. I'll wait until the chip cools down to... Hold on, I need to prop. Oh my goodness. Has it already cooled down that quick? There's no way. No, it didn't. Okay. I'm gonna do that. Can I do that? I'm just gonna lay it flat then. Can I do that? There we go. Alright, I'm gonna wait until that cools down to around 30, 35. And while it's cooling down, I'm gonna get solder. I'll be as quick as I can. Hello. I'll be right back. I'm just waiting for it to cool down. Okay. Oh my goodness, it is hot in here. Well, I can probably guess why. 36? Close enough. Okay. So now that it's cooled down to about 36, and that I got the stuff of solder and thermal paste, wait, no, flux, that's what it's called. So let's get, where is it, this guy? Yeah. So now we have everything that we need. We have the copper strip for desoldering, or I guess taking out the solder wick. I think that's what it's called, solder wick, or desolder wick. I don't remember. So I just take the piece like that, and then take the bad piece off. 39. Huh. I guess maybe it was misreading. Okay, and now we have solder and paste. Okay. Oh. And a knife to apply the thermal paste. Okay. Round 2. This time, much better. Or this time we're going to be much better. Because no more mistakes. Now that we have all the parts and tools that we need. Man, it is hot in here. Back to business. So we're going to apply, because we already started on this chip. Can you see this chip? Not really. So because we already started on this chip right here, this one, I'm going to apply directly, either with a knife or with the guy right here. See, with the knife it's much easier, because all you need to do is just scrape it and then scrape it off. But it seems like the thermal paste, oh, there we go. There we go, okay. So now, but once it gets very hot, we're gonna apply more thermal paste. Thermal, what is this called? Flux, thermal flux. Alright. Back to business. 390 at a very slow heat. So the thermal paste, thermal flux has already melted. So we're gonna pick up a pretty small amount. It's a pretty large amount for the chip, but it's pretty small amount just in general. And then we're gonna go all around, making sure the thermal flux has gotten into all of the crevices underneath of the chip. And then wiggle it, make sure that all like the thermal flux is not like there's no air bubbles underneath. Or well, you don't technically need that. It just to make sure there's an excess rather than a knot. And then I don't know how everyone else does it. I just put solder or try to put solder directly in there. And then if that doesn't work, then because here's the thing, if you just because like you can put solder in between the spaces regardless of how small the space is if you well I guess try hard enough. Okay, and then we just go back and forth. That's it. I mean, you just go back and forth. Then I'll lower the fan, go very slow around. I haven't had this not work, so I'm just going to increase the fan speed and see what happens. At 390, so it's pretty hot. What is the temperature? 250? 250 on the chip? Okay. That's not bad actually. I see a little charring on the actual circuit board, so it should definitely be hot enough. Odd. I can't see, the thing is I can feel it moving up and down. I think it's just legitimately stuck because of something or because of some reason. So we're gonna start it at 250. We're gonna start a different chip. Oh, sorry. We're gonna start a different chip at 250. Okay, it's blowing hot air at the wall. I'm just making sure that it's not like doing anything weird. Okay. So let's do something simpler. Kind of simpler. You see these MOSFETs right here? These are for the power distribution, and so is this. So we're gonna desolder these. Now the reason is because there's only 3 points of contact that is actually holding them down, and it's directly solderable. So I could just take the soldering iron and, you know, do that side, pry it up, do those 2, and we're done. But the point of this video, or live stream, is to learn how to reflow. And you know what? I just kind of realized I could have used the knife to scoop up all of the things and then pry it up. But yeah. Also, I don't have a good enough tweezers. These are thick. What is recommended is the thin ones for like precision work. I don't have that. So let's get on with this area right here. Alright. Let's open this up. Did I close this? Not fully. Okay. So let's do a very small amount. Put it right there. Take another very small amount. Put it right there. And then take a third small amount. Okay, much. No, this is too much. Way too much. Okay, good enough. We'll put it right there. Okay. Sure. And now we just wait. We just wait for it to heat up because it's at 250. And actually, I don't know this temperature solder because it's been taped up. And if I remove this tape, then that's it. So I'm just gonna hope that it's somewhere near 250. And if not, we're gonna increase this to 300. Let's see. No, not even close. Okay. Okay. 300. There we go. Did it tell me on the thing? No. Okay. While that is melting, I'm going to take a look at other solder choices that there is. Oh, let's try this solder. It's extremely thin, so there's no doubt we should definitely get a melting started. Okay. I mean, yeah, it's soldering. This isn't exactly what it's for, but oh wait, nope. It caught onto the actual chip, which is good. Now we increase the speed. Okay, these tweezers are not the best. I would rather use pliers. There's a lot of, okay, so there's a lot of thermal mass, which doesn't really help the situation when you're trying to reflow solder something, because reflow solder is made for kind of precision and not big thermal mass like a big MOSFET or a transistor. I don't exactly know which one this is. So this didn't work, plus minus. It could be desoldered though, but this isn't the point of the live stream, as I already said before. So, with more and more utter failures, I'm trying to find leaded solder because it's the easiest to desolder with. Did I really run out of leaded solder? That is unfortunate. Very much so. Yeah, that is very unfortunate. Because here's the thing. With leaded solder, it's very easy to, well, solder. But with anything else, because there's no lead in it, it doesn't flow as easily. And also, it's just kind of worse. The lead makes it fun. Because you can breathe in the lead and be like, oh, that's a funny smell. Okay, well, not because of that exactly, but you can probably understand why the difference of... See, I don't know what this one is. Or that one. There's no lead in anything. Which I guess is good, but, you know, for the environment. But for our purposes, it's no bueno. So we're going to take... I'm going to give it everything on this chip right here. No holding back on anything. I'm going to use the knife. I'm going to use this solder, or that one, or this one. The flux. Hold on, maybe... What is this flux? Is there... Oh. This is thick flux. Look at that. It's like, peanut butter. It doesn't smell tasty, though. No, this one's like chunky peanut butter. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it doesn't smell nice. Okay. Yeah, so this time, this guy right here, everything. I'm gonna give it everything. This flux, these three solder, this knife. Well, this is gonna be after, if I do manage. The temperature, I'm just gonna bring it as far as it goes if I need to. Okay, well, I guess let's warm up the area. 200. Okay, there we go. 200. So what I'm doing is making sure the surrounding area is hot enough so I can pick up the solder and then drop it in. This is going to be very smelly. I mean, solder usually is, but like that's not the point. Oh, and turn down the Making sure all of the solder gets into all of the holes. Okay. Okay. And then getting the underneath. Okay. Bringing this heat up to around, let's say, 330. Wow, that is smelly solder. Flux. Okay, it's at 330. So now we just pass it back and forth. Still nothing. Okay. I'm gonna close this flux because okay. So now that, okay, let's try it up to 420, sure. Let's bring it up 90, which is way hotter than it should be, but hey. Now back and forth. Back and forth passes very slowly, or I guess very quickly, and making sure that very thin solder wick, solder can go in. Okay. This is way too hot for it to be very close proximity, so I'm gonna increase that. Okay. Still nothing. Alright, time to use the knife. Oh, look at that. So much easier with the knife. We did it. Look, we finally did it. We have the chip off of the board. Yay! Alright, now we can solder it on to their respective solder pads. Okay, so 420? Wait, that seems a lot. That seems like a lot. Okay, get the surrounding area. My bad, sorry. Okay, then the flux. I need one to be open. Boom. I don't think it really... Oh, don't boil. Hold on. Okay. We don't want the flux to boil immediately. We just want it to get into the chip. That's why you started off with 200, so it initially melts and flows underneath of the chip. But once it does, you should Cool. Yeah, good. This one actually turned out better than the last one, and purely because I think the first one had some pads missing. This one doesn't. Or at least that's what I think. Okay, let's put some solder on both of these. I mean, both of the sides. Oh, I should remove this chip from the board because it's gonna break. Or break. Because I don't know if it's broken or not. Okay. There we go. So 420 degrees is quite a bit for a chip, a VRAM chip. Oh, I keep saying, okay, whatever. But the issue is not it being too hot for the board, it's the issue of the VRAM chip. If we're replacing that, here's what we're going to do next. I'm going to move the solder paste, I'm going to move everything. Now we're going to go with the desolder wick, but this time we're going to power off the hot air station and power on the soldering station, soldering iron. And this goes to show too, for $30 you can have such a versatile device. Now it's not an ad, obviously. I don't try to be like, oh guys, buy this, but it's not bad. And I'm also not a professional desolderer or solderer. Soldering iron 200 degrees, yeah, that'll work perfectly fine. So yeah, it's just heating up right now. And once it can catch on to, actually, there we go. Alright, there we go. Now that it's clean, and there's still flux on here, we can use this guy to start desoldering. Okay. There we go. One piece desoldered. See, for me, desoldering is much easier because I've been doing it for longer than actual soldering. So, like, even though I do know how to solder, desoldering comes much easier for me. Okay. So now we would do a thing called reballing on the chip. But I do not have a stencil or the means to have, like, it's a solder paste, which, how do I have, like, nothing now? Like, I remember I had the solder paste. I don't know where it went. Okay, whatever. Doesn't matter. So we can, actually, let me show you guys, because I can bring down the camera and show you what is happening if it focuses. I don't know if it focuses or not. So yeah, let me point with something. These, I actually have no idea if you can see. These right here is where we desoldered. Now, what we would normally do after using the desoldering wick is taking these chips, the VRAM chips, and using a stencil to specifically desolder, solder on points. Put solder on those points. That's what I mean to say. But because I don't have a stencil, we're gonna try it a different way. So now let me put you guys back. Let me see if the screen is messed up now, because I took you guys off of the thing. Okay, we're good. Yeah, we're good. Okay. And now, because we still have the soldering iron, we can very, very, very quickly so if you guys see what I'm doing, I'm basically just putting in solder, and then I am quickly going down to disperse that solder onto the points that don't have it. So it's just a quick sweep. Now this would be done on like a holder or something, but I do not have a holder too. So there's a lot of stuff I would recommend getting before actually doing all of this, but this is just a practice, because I wouldn't want this GPU anyway, but as a practice you always need some spare GPUs. And also, a tip: if you guys dip the soldering iron directly into the flux, the outer layer of solder on the soldering iron isn't gonna get is gonna stick to things, which is obviously good, because if it doesn't stick, then you really can't use it. All right. Now that that's the case, oh, yeah, we really can't do much. We do need a stencil because it needs to be up. And because both of these are flat now, we can't solder anything on, or let alone do anything with these. So yeah, a stencil is definitely mandatory for soldering and desoldering VRAM chips. Any other chips, probably fine, because you could just like overflow the solder and then it'll leak through the sides. But VRAM chips is different, because VRAM chips are off of the actual PCB, except for the actual pads. But let's try something fancy, because I have more GPUs than this guy right here. So let's try the actual core. Now I would not want to do a removal or a replacement of a GPU core, but if I ever need to, we can see if I can, or at least we can attempt to see the issues and problems that might occur, because I'm new to this. Alright, So we take... I know approximately how anything could be done, so let's give it a whirl. Let's see. So let's first of all lower this down to around 300. 300 and at a fast airspeed, because this is a big area, so it needs to acclimate to the heat and the thermal, because thermal expansion is a big thing in this. If a thing is cold, it shrinks, and if a thing is hot, it expands. And on a PCB and on an area like this, there's a lot of expansion and contraction to be done. So that's why a higher temperature for the start. And let me move this out of the way. And then the actual core itself for a bit, because we don't want the core to be shrunk on the PCB that's expanding, or else that'll break the trace, or could break the traces on some of it. Now I am going quite quick, but that's because it's a higher temperature than I would normally put it at, so I don't exactly know. And I don't have a preheater, which is also a good thing to have. So let's put this down there. And this flux. You know what? The flux is flowing in, so we do need more. There we go. Okay. Now that we have the perimeter surrounded by flux, we can, at every angle, position it so there's heat going into the sides, like the VRAM chips. And then the top. Then increase the temperature, I would say around another 200 or 100. Oh, my bad. Okay. Temperature is increased. Go around the perimeter again. See that the solder is boiling from underneath. So now we take the knife, because I don't have a sharper thing. Okay. Can't I just wedge this in? See, like, I can. Oh, there we go. Okay, there we go. Alright, now from the far, I'm just getting all of the heat to be, and applying very slight pressure on the knife so the chip doesn't bounce out. More temperature. 480. Okay. All right. We need more flux. A lot more flux. Okay, so the chip is getting toasted, like unironically toasted. So I'm just gonna pry. Because I can see the layers like coming off. I mean like the the solder like coming off and stuff. But a preheater would be much better. So yeah, I'm gonna do that. Okay, wow. Let me set this for later at 250. Okay. So, here is where we're at. Or I guess we're at. Where we were at. Let me see what you guys can see because the screen is a bit far. Okay, so right now nothing. Hold on. Still nothing. There we go. It's not zoomed in. Okay. Wait, can I what's it called? Configure the video. What did I just do? Okay, not that. So you guys see the bent chip? Not well, but let me see if I can turn up some stuff. Okay. Is that better? Kind of. That's a bit better. Alright. Let me bring you guys even further. What about now? Still nothing. Still. What about if I do that? Did it focus on my finger? No. Great. So basically, alright. I'll just try to show you guys. I don't know how well it's gonna work out though. So we have the VRAM chip. I mean the actual core. But if you can see, it's bent. Now the reason it's bent is because I bent it. No, but like, the reason it's actually bent is because I guess not enough heat went in, or too much flux, or actually I don't know. Because here's the thing. I used, maybe it was too much temperature and not enough time, as in like going back and forth for this. So I don't know. It could be anything. And I can't resolder the VRAM chips because I don't have a stencil. Which is a good thing I figured that out, because for the next time I'm probably gonna get a stencil. Or I should definitely get a stencil. As for the desoldering wick, let me see. How much do I have? Not much. This is actually some good stuff though. Desoldering wick is good stuff. Now leaded solder is too, but I do not have that. So I'm gonna need to find that somewhere. Or find it and buy it somewhere. Flux. It's always good to have flux regardless of what you're doing. Now, these VRAM chips are not looking the best. So we're gonna do a round 2 sometime in the future. But this was a cool attempt to this isn't the repaired GPU, by the way. Long from it. Alright. I guess that was the fun experiment. Next time we're gonna do more of this. And more GPUs. But it's a good start to have desoldering. At least the desoldering was good. See, I can say that because none of the pads on the chip, nor the pads on the PCB, were stripped. Because usually what happens is it's too cold when you're prying up. So when one of the PCB solder joints is still cold and you're prying up too much, it just flings it off, and and you're basically done. You have to buy a new GPU then, because you can't resolder something on and then in. Doesn't really make much sense, but you probably get it. It's okay. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video or live stream. Yeah, maybe I should get my preheater working in working order, because that I think you need a preheater for. Everything else is fine, but that I think you need a preheater. Okay. Well, thank you guys for watching again. Hope you guys have a great day, morning, night, afternoon, whenever you're watching this. Peace. Have a good day.